Media strategy. So we know who we're talking to. How do we get a message to those people? What do we know about locavores? They're interested in sustainable food. They're interested in healthy, pure food. They care about the quality of lives of the animals that are involved in producing their food. It's quite possible they garden. They might have chickens in their backyard. They have little or no experience with fishing or hunting. They could be millennials. They're probably educated professionals. There's an excellent chance that there are more women in this group than in traditional R3 group. They're more likely to live in an urban or suburban setting, not out in the country. They're married or paired up somehow, might have kids. So this is what we know about our locavores. We asked a group of locavores in some surveys what media they were very likely to use to learn about new food or new ways to get food. 84% said websites. That's huge. 68% said they would ask a friend or a relative who knew things like that. And 45% said they'd watch online videos, which is right back to websites again. So online is huge. 38% they said they'd read a book. 38% said they'd take a class. That's good. 27% said read a magazine. 26% said watch TV. And a tiny little 6% said they'd ask employees in a retail store. So the same is probably true of people in your agency or the Park Service. These people are not very likely to approach people that they don't know. We also asked what media they thought would be very effective if they wanted to learn about how to harvest wild food. Number one, 25% word of mouth. Number two, 20% social media. And number three, at 20%, flyer or a poster in a local farmer's market. 19% online advertising, and you can see on down the list there. But the important thing is, these are the things that these people said out loud themselves would be effective at reaching them with a message about harvesting new and different kinds of wild food. We asked them again, we said, what media do you use almost daily? 54% said websites, regardless of the reason. 43% said the radio, and 42% said television. 38% said social media, so back online again. 28% online TV, again online. 18% online music. So you can see the internet is huge again in this list. And then last of all, 14% read the local paper. So there are three categories of media that you can use to promote your program: owned media, earned media, and paid media. And we're going to take a little bit and talk about each one. Owned media is media that you 100% own and control. Your agency's website, any brochures that you put out, newsletters, things that you're completely and utterly in control of. Why do you use it? It's practically free. It's mostly sweat equity. It's a home for in-depth content. You need somewhere where everything that you can think of that's relevant about your program is stored, and that's your agency's website, or even better, the website for your program. And the reason for that is the power of search. People are out there looking for almost anything these days online. So if someone types in new adult hunter in Sacramento, you want your program to come up. And the only way it's ever going to come up is if somewhere there's content that links the words together, new adult hunter and Sacramento. And 10 pages about your program might well do that. Owned media for locavores. So if you want to target locavores, here are the top owned media choices for you. Your department or your agency, your website, your YouTube channel, your Facebook page, your Twitter account, your newsletters, your e-newsletters. If your program has any of the above items, those two, even more importantly, emails to potential candidates and emails to past graduates. These are the things that you are in control of that you can use to promote your programs. Earned media is media where you have to beg or earn the actual exposure in that media. So you can send a press release to the newspaper, But you can't make them print it. What's going to make them print it is you earning that by giving them an interesting story. You can send those same press releases to bloggers, YouTube stars, opinion leaders. Generate reviews. If you can find a way to generate reviews for your programs or your recruiting programs, those are great opportunities. Why do you want to use this stuff? Again, it's practically free. All you have to do is generate that release and start to push it out there to people. It scales really well. If you do one press release for the newspaper, it's not that much more effort to send that same press release to radio and television and other potential people. And this is absolutely by far the most trusted medium when it actually gets into the media. So if I watch a story on the news at night, am I more likely to believe that story I watched on the news or a brochure that you hand me about your product? The news always seems more real than owned promotional material from an advertiser. Owned media that works particularly well for locavores. First of all, press releases for local TV and radio stations, newspapers, magazines, etc. You want to do that. It's important. It's the most efficient way to get your message out in front of a lot of people. Next, though, take those same press releases, maybe with a different cover letter, maybe with a little twist, and send them to local food co-ops, farmers markets, clubs and organizations, people that might have newsletters and websites that they want to fill with new information, but they're not going to spend a lot of time doing that. So anything you can hand them, particularly send it to them digitally so that all they have to do is cut and paste it, they're really likely to use. Community calendars. You see these at 4 o'clock in the morning on TV, in the newspaper, maybe on a day like Thursday. They'll run through some things in the morning on the radio. Some magazines and websites have them. So you want to get anything that you do that has a date attached to it into one of these calendars because you never know who's going to look at them. And lastly, posters and flyers that can go on bulletin boards and windows in sporting goods stores and food co-ops and grocery stores and anywhere where your people might be. Paid media. So paid media is exactly what it sounds like. It's media that you pay them to run your message. So it's all the media you think of when you think about media: TV, radio, newspapers, online advertising, magazines, newsletters, almost anything somewhere there's an opportunity to give someone money to put your message in it. Why would you use this? First of all, you're 100% in control again. With a press release, I can give the press release to the media, but they're going to run it how they want it, when they want it, not how I want it. If I give them an ad and my money, they're obligated to run my ad just like it looks. Sometimes there are some people that just the only way to get in front of them is paid media. It can be super, super effective. And it's the best medium for repeat messages. It's really hard to get the TV news to report on the same story Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night, right? But you can run the same commercial every day of the week. As long as you have enough money, there are people that are willing to run your message again and again and again in paid media. There are two kinds of paid media that make a ton of sense on a limited budget, trying to speak to people that are interested in local sustainable food. The first is online advertising like Google AdWords. Why? First of all, because you can geo-target it for your state or your city or even X miles around the spot where you're going to teach the class. You can do targeted content and or searches so that if a person's reading about hunting or food or wild food or foraging, then your message ends up in front of them. Similarly, if they're searching for those terms, your message ends up in front of them. That's a great way to end up in front of the right people. So when you put that about the right people in the right geography, this is getting pretty hard to beat. It's relatively inexpensive, usually pennies to reach a person. And you can completely control the budget. You tell it how much money to use every day, every week, every month, so that at the end of the year, or the month or the quarter. There aren't going to be any surprises because it's only going to spend the money you gave it to spend. The second option is niche newsletters. These are little newsletters that belong to co-ops and clubs and stores, things like that. They're super cheap. They exactly speak to your market. Because oftentimes they're produced pretty simply, it's pretty simple for you to produce ads that will look okay in there. And your readers, the readers of these newsletters, view the fact that you spent money to run an ad in there, you're supporting the food co-op, the garden store, the foraging club, whatever it is that prints that newsletter, you're supporting it. And each time that you spend money advertising in the newsletter for the local food co-op, you're generating relationships with potential partners for some other promotions that we'll talk about later. When we were in a focus group with a group of locavores, we asked them what words or concepts they found appealing about a hunting and angling class so that we could test drive these phrases for use in messaging for you, right? So the first group got really positive responses. We would say a word and we'd have them raise their hand if they liked that idea. So the words sustainable, local, providing for your family, self-sufficiency, getting outdoors, those words scored really, really positive. Healthy, kind of in the middle, and wholesome and natural scored really poorly. Not so much because they don't buy into the concept of wholesome or natural, but because they feel like those words were beaten to death by the media and advertising selling products to them, and they don't particularly like those overused terms and being sold. I think really that's also what happened to healthy, just it's apparently not as abused as wholesome and natural are. We also asked recent graduates of a new adult hunter program why they took the class. 69% said, I thought it would be fun and exciting. 63% said to become more self-sufficient, and 63% said to get outdoors more. Now, stop for a second. The top three answers, all above 60%, and no one has mentioned food at all yet. Fourth answer, 41%, said to find a more environmentally sustainable source of meat. 32% said a source of purer meat. 31% said I hunted or fished as a child, I want to reconnect to it. And 13% said they're worried about the animals on commercial farms. So here are the reasons that people that actually took the kind of class that you're getting ready to market took that class. You need to think about these things when you're generating the messages to sell your own class. So what do we know about media strategy? Okay, we talked about the owned media, the earned media, and the paid media that are most likely to work for you in the situation that you're in without a great big budget, trying to reach locavores about a hunting or angling training program.